Okay, how is everybody doing? Hello, everybody. Good afternoon for those of you joining us. Good evening or good morning, depending on where you're tuning in from. Thank you for joining me. It's an absolute blessing to be online with you guys. A day after the day before. Yesterday was a very eventful day for I think all of us in this community, and probably not eventful in a good way. Yeah, it's been rough. It's been rough, and obviously, like I said, I don't think any of us here require anybody an explanation, but it's just important to note that I don't think anyone's saying that seeking any sympathy or pity, but depending on how you situate yourself, this situation would have really affected you. I think it's definitely exposed us to a more vulnerable, to our own vulnerability, so to speak, to see how quickly, with the right kind of negative attention, they've been able to pull someone down and completely debase someone in our community. But hey, one thing I will say is that I haven't brought you on here. There's a reason why I chose a change of topic, change of pace. I thought we'd go back to the Bantu City Diaries live stream because I kind of want to raise the frequency a little bit. Get us all in a bit of good vibrations. We gotta have to deal with the subject, and I'm gonna have further live streams and topics coming. But at the same time, it's quite disheartening, as you can all imagine. And I don't want to start us off, on a low vibration. It's the weekend. I kind of feel like let's get some good energy, some good vibration going. Let's have a bit of a laugh with Bantu City Diaries video. I'm sure he's not going to be very happy about the fact that we're approaching this with comedy, but we were approaching it with comedy yesterday. So I feel like let's have something to just have a little, let's break bread. Let's have a little bit of a lift of spirits. Let's enjoy the fact that one of our tormentors, like for those of you who are tuning in and you don't know who this guy is, Diaries is like Africa's Officer Tatum. Yeah, he's Nigerian. He's Nigeria's Brandon Tatum. Yeah, this guy, yeah, has been the torment of Black people in the diaspora, but particularly within Africa. He has been the literal poster boy for saying the most derogatory things about us as Africans, yeah, and making out like everything that Europeans do is absolute perfection. And that's why when this video came out and some of the rhetoric that he's coming out with, we had to, I mean, yesterday, you guys remember, yeah, we had to come up with some theories about what's caused this shift in rhetoric, what's caused this shift in dynamic. And I'm going to try to remember the theories. I think theory number one was his mum found out. Theory number two is that he's got a new Black African girlfriend who's kind of like stuck it on him. Theory number three was, someone remind me what theory number three was. And theory number four was the King's monologue. He's tuned in. He's tuned in and he's changed his tune. Oh, theory number three was the governor. He got a visit from a Nigerian governor who basically told him, listen, you better shift this this rhetoric, this negativity that you're saying about Nigeria. I can't stand. Yeah, Westgate was definitely the governor. So this is the list of competing theories that we have. But either which way, he's had a shift. Now, someone said theory number five. I have to put this one out there. Obviously, like this should be the first theory. So shout out to the Lion of Judah. Okay, fake news. That's quite a name you got there. He said he's a grifter. That is theory number five. Theory number five is that he's just getting too greedy. He just thinks, hey, maybe I can serve two masters. Maybe I can service the entire industry. Maybe I can denigrate Blacks and then lift them up and then praise whites, and then could then like maybe he's just getting greedy. Maybe he's just seen the dollar sign this for, hey, like, I can do it all. Oh, he'll come back to reality very, very quickly. There's no way you can serve a white nationalist audience and also any kind of black person likely that take extreme stupidity and greed. And he doesn't come across to me as stupid. He comes across to me as many things. He's not stupid. He's very calculated. This is a very calculated man who's made a decision about the kind of rhetoric he's going to push. Is he greedy? Oh, yes, he's definitely greedy because this choice is all about money. But I don't think he would have been that tempted by the black the black dollar. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm not convinced. It's too much of a shift. But anyway, let's get this underway. I'm going to start it again from the start, but I'm probably not going to cut into it to begin with. Let's get a recap. And then as we catch up to where we were yesterday, then I might start to interject in the video and give some feedback. But I think in the video yesterday, we got about, I'm going to say about 3 to 4 minutes in, and he was still kicking, you know, he was still spitting. He hadn't said anything yet that made me want to slap him. And that's, hey, that if you know, in fact, just for people who don't really understand what this controversy is all about, let's just quickly give you a little glimpse of the page of Bantu City Diaries so you understand how confusing his latest shift is, because some of you just won't appreciate exactly what is going on here. So we have to give you full context. We like to give you full context on this channel. So let's just go to yeah, we got it from here. Let's just go to his For You. I'm going to scroll down. Will let me? Yeah, I'm going to zoom out a bit. Let's zoom out. Why is the machine moving so slow? Okay, that's too small. Let me zoom in a couple times. So let's have a look at some of his videos. So this is his latest one, which is looking okay. But let's look at his general subjects. So he's got, I mean, he looks like he has been softening as time's gone on. So look, the next one along says, Nigerian education system is where you go to be miseducated. See, even that, I could come up with a title like that. That's not usual Bantu City, I'm going to destroy Africa. The black African culture is broken. Yeah, this is more like him there. And let's see the next one along 10 days ago. Country by Country, episode 3, East Africa. That sounds like a hack job. I can't see the thumbnail fully. But all of these don't sound too bad. I mean, he gets vile very, unless he's, I wonder if he's been pulling videos down. Let's go to well, let's go to popular videos, because I'm sure his most popular ones are his worst ones. Why are African cities so ugly? Yep. Africans have built nothing. Yeah, there we go. There you go. We get him. This is what his topics normally like. Yeah. Why can't Africans copy and paste existing technology? Sometimes the titles are actually sometimes the titles are so shady. You just have to kind of like throw a little, like, you got to give them a little bit of respect. It's like how all black run African cities are dirty and collapsing. Nigeria makes nothing, it imports everything. That's a fair statement. Apart from entertainment, Nigeria does have an entertainment industry. Are Nigerians parasites? Leaning on the governor theory, why do other races find black people the least attractive? And this is why are black people so ugly. Remember, I've done a video in response to that one. Why do black women wear fake white Asian looking hair? Why white people innovate and invent, and black people, what does this say? Full, let me hover. And black people dance and party. Oh, come on, that's a bit funny, guys. Oh. why white people innovate and black people dance and party? Oh, sensational. So yeah, we love ourselves a bit of Bantu City Diaries. So anyway, without further ado, let's just close that page off. Okay. And let's get the new Bantu City Diaries, the one that's causing all of the controversy and all of the confusion. Okay, so let's get this party underway and see where we're going with this. Give me a 1 in the chat once the audio is coming through. If you see it playing and you can't hear audio, hit the 2. Thank you.
One important aspect of colonialism that is often overlooked is the build to fail system that affected not only Nigeria but most African colonies. Colonialism was never intended to benefit Africans, it was designed to exploit them indefinitely. The Europeans did not convene in Europe or Berlin in 1885 with the intention of, like, they said, come on, guys, let's go and help these Africans. They need some help. And we're angels. So come on, let's go help some black people. No, that's not what happened. Instead, they invaded various African countries, employing violence, killing, torturing, raping, and subjugating the local populations into forced labor for decades, some even centuries. In contrast, some countries like Senegal, Angola, and Mozambique endured this exploitation far longer than others. Imagine this: as long as you have been alive, multiply that by 2, 3, or 4 times, experiencing subjugation in your own land at the hands of strangers who traveled thousands of kilometers away. On this channel, I intend to address every topic. If you only come here to hear great things about Europeans, then you are not an honest interlocutor. I attack, confront every topic. I don't care.
And obviously, we laughed at that yesterday because, he's like, if you only come here to hear wonderful, glowing things, if you only come here to have the us of the European being kissed in audible format, then you are at the wrong place. It's like the fact that you have to preempt your video with that, what I mean? You have to put a disclaimer in. Hey, if you're only here to have Europeans being praised, it's like the fact you got to put that there. No one, I would never have to put that at the start of my video. Most creators wouldn't have to put that at the start of their videos because kind of like, why would I even need to say that? Like literally, like you're not gonna get that here. So it is very telling that he's trying to communicate something to his audience here. And this is where this is where the theories come on. This is where we're like, well, what's happened to my man? Why? Why, oh why? Why on earth is he changing tune all of a sudden? It's very, very suspicious, as you can imagine. But so far, the video itself has produced a decent level of content. What happened there? Oh, played the wrong video. Let's try again.
If you are not open minded, this is not the channel for you. The British in Nigeria did not build infrastructure out of altruism. They constructed roads primarily to facilitate resource extraction, not to benefit the local population. The people of Nigeria or Africa were never the intended beneficiaries of any infrastructure built during this period. For example, Nigeria has many cities at the time when the British were there, like Calabar, Enugu, Benin City, Ibadan, and the rest. Yet they had no connecting rail system to facilitate movement.
So I think a couple of you postulated, including myself yesterday, that there's a probability, perhaps a high probability, that he got this note from, from one of the live streams that I did containing that character. So he was a piece of work, wasn't he? But where we educated on that very fact, showing the diagrams and making it clear that these are useless rail systems. They only had one purpose, and that was to extract resource. And he's picked up on that, and I like his elaboration. He hasn't just picked up on it and read it. He's actually got the actual names of the cities, the towns, done a little bit of additional contribution. So I appreciate this as a meaningful contribution to the discussion. I never thought I'd be saying this about Bantu City Diaries. It's a very bizarre place to be in right now. Very, very bizarre. Imagine this, me doing this live stream, and then obviously those of you who are there or who've seen it, then getting hit with the news about someone in the live stream actually posted it. So I appreciate that person, whoever it is. that's how bizarre yesterday was. What a weird day. Honestly, it was a bizarre day. But we move on. Like I said, we'll continue to tackle it, and obviously, RIP Professor Jason Arde. But we'll move on. And yeah, one of the things that I mentioned as well, and I'm going to re-mention it, is we will go through the comments. I haven't scrolled down yet, but I'm as eager in anticipation as you to run to the comments with my popcorn and see exactly what his crowd, what his audience are saying about this video. They must be seething and coping. But let's see.
Between the cities and people. Instead, the British focused on building connections such as the railway from Enugu to Port Harcourt solely for resource extraction, not to make life easier for the people. The first railway system established by the British in Nigeria connected Lagos and Ibadan, again with the primary goal of extracting resources. This pattern was consistent across other African colonies, including Ghana, Kenya, and Senegal. No colonial structure was designed with the intent of helping.
I mean, that in itself, that's a powerful statement. Yeah, that's a powerful statement. I could say that. Yeah, I would not expect in a million years of Bantu City Diaries to say that. Yeah, it says no colonial structure was designed with the intent of helping Africans. It's absolutely true. But for him to put that in black and white, because many Africans on the continent still do believe the opposite. They're still like, they left us. I'm going to stop doing Africa. Actually, I'm not going to stop because I know my Nigerian accent's terrible, but I'll keep doing it. Many of them will be like, oh, yeah, they left us with great infrastructure. What are you talking about? Blah, blah, blah. We just can't look up. It's kind of like, no, they didn't leave us with anything meaningful. Okay. Everything that they built was for their own, was for their own good, essentially. So, yeah.
Africans. In fact, European colonialists often lived separately from the African populations. They created strictly segregated residential areas known as European reservations or government reserved areas, GRAs. This physical separation was imposed to maintain strict racial hierarchies and consolidate political control over the occupied territories. While GRAs were equipped with modern amenities, African workers and laborers were typically forced to live in overcrowded, underfunded townships on the outskirts of towns and commercial centers. The goal of their invasion and rule was not to assist the Africans, it was solely to exploit them, period. The reason I am making this video is to address the comment on my various videos on this channel where white people often make atrocious claims about how colonialism was so good for the Africans, totally missing the point. They often say things like, oh, the white built South Africa, which I agree, of course, we all know, and the blacks are ruining it. Or Rhodesia was developed, now the blacks are ruining it. Let me clarify. I don't believe that our poverty, backwardness, and underdevelopment can solely be blamed on colonialism. However, colonialism was not a positive experience. It was a terrible ordeal for entire races. Had they
See, and this is another big surprise, him actually addressing his white audience and saying, oh no, these are the kinds of things that my white audience will say. Let me correct you on a few things. Yes, okay, South Africa, you may have built a large part of what we classify as the successful. Now, obviously, I'm not going to go into the back and forth about the credence of that claim, but let's just say yes for now. That's kind of like the mainstream belief. But he's pulling it back and he's saying, hey, look, you didn't really do any good here. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and pretend you did. This, once again, it's not like there's no revelation here. None of you are going like, oh, wow, I didn't know any of this. But coming once again from Bantu City Diaries, this is something.
The Europeans treated Africans as equals in their own homeland. Like after invading Africa, they established a system where everyone is equal under the law and treated Africans with dignity. I don't think our grandparents would have fought for independence. The only reason Africans wanted independence was because they were being subjugated to racial and social.
And I like the fact that he phrased that I don't think our grandparents would have fought for independence. I pulled him up on that yesterday about saying I don't like the way he's kind of like making it sound like independence was something that was just granted. But he's then said there they fought for independence. So once again, okay, all right. All right, let's see where this goes. By the way, I haven't watched it. I've left this. So I'm right now, I'm being as surprised as you are to all of the content. I don't know how the story ends. I don't know if he does a BCD flip at the end. And like how we used to do like a whole video denigrating black people. Then at the end, he'd do like a 30-second dialogue trying to do a little quick glaze to win over the audience. He'd be like, black people are so ugly. They are the ugliest people that you ever come across. They have ugly hair. They hate themselves. They're not beautiful like the East Asians. Oh no, they're the ugliest ones. Everybody's running away from the smelly black people. I love black people, by the way. I love you all. Embrace yourselves, and you will maybe be pretty in the future. That's kind of like he'll try a little flip in the reverse here. Maybe he's gonna like praise us, praise us, praise us, praise us, and then or not even praise us, like tell the truth, and then he's gonna get to the end and he's gonna do his little flip on us. He's gonna, by the way, European, I still think we could not have survived without you colonizing us, and I wish you would do it again. We don't know where he's gonna go with this.
Subhuman treatment in their homeland. No people would accept this. Most humans would rather live in poverty and free in their homeland than live in your diamond mansion where they are treated as animals. Historically, the colonial education system prioritized basic clerical skills while severely limiting advanced education, vocational training, and leadership opportunities for the indigenous population. For instance, in 1960, Nigeria had only one university for its 45 million people. In contrast, the UK at the time had 22 universities. If colonial powers truly cared about educating Africans, they would have established more universities before handing over power. Cote d'Ivoire also had just one university in 1960, and Senegal, which endured over 300 years of French colonization, had only one university.
Yes, dudes, hit up the likes. Okay, shout out Fabrice. Everybody's in the chat and the King's Guard holding it down. Hit up the likes, people. There's 30 of us here, so let's get at least to 30 likes. Appreciate you all for showing up.
Kenya had no universities in 1960, and Angola, after nearly 500 years of brutal Portuguese colonialism, had none. Consequently, these African countries lacked sufficient engineers or technical professionals to manage the colonial infrastructure, which was built primarily for mineral extraction, not to benefit the local populations. Therefore, failures were inevitable. The style or type of colonialism experienced in the USA, Canada, Argentina, Brazil, Australia, New Zealand, and the Cape Colony at the Good Hope in South Africa was colonially different from what Black Africans face. These countries witnessed transfer of European that was not the African style colonialism. If places like Argentina, the USA, the Americas, let's just put them all, and Australia, New Zealand were colonized, why are the local population predominantly white? Let me
So, see, I'm just being knocked off my chair here. He's now talking about the fact that obviously the difference between the Black African colonial experience and the rest of the imperial experience is that essentially whites settled everywhere else. So all those other nations that he mentioned, they settled. Yeah, they settled in those various places. They came as a settler colonial class, whereas in Africa they came as an extractive colonial class. But allegedly they didn't settle. Nah, no way. Operation Legacy, when we get there, I'll be able to discuss more as to who exactly did settle in Africa, because people did settle in Africa, but that's a whole nother conversation. But point being, in the context of this discussion that we're having here, that's entirely correct. It's a case of it was a difference in colonial approach. Their business in Africa was to extract, it was not to settle, it was to take.
repeat, colonialism that the world faced, because white people on this channel often say things like, well, every culture faced colonialism at some point. That's true. But what they faced were people moving in and settling into their land. Then, after centuries, they sort of acculturate themselves into one people. What happened in Africa was different. They never saw Africans as humans. They invaded, then created class two-tier system where the Africans were subhuman, the laborers, while they live in luxury, exploiting all the wealth, not creating a country of equal people where they would become citizens and everyone would become equal under the law. So the Black African colonialism was brutal. It was not the same. It wasn't what the British did to Ireland. It wasn't what they did to the Polish. It was totally different, because if it was the same, there'd be no Poland, no Ireland. These countries were settled by the colonial power, thus forming a nation with people equal under the law. So the
So it's interesting because now he's expanding on the brutality of the nature of African colonialism, which once again, this is hitting me with a little bit of a, because one of the things he's always evaded is this idea of kind of like any kind of exceptionalism. It's kind of like he'd be the first to argue, what you talking about? Africans, the whole world's gone through colonialism. There's no excuse to be had here. Blah blah blah. Africans are just complaining. It's the same. Why can't you build yourself up? Look at China. Look at, that's like one of his favorite go-tos. He'll go to another. Look at these places. Look at China. Look at Japan. Look at blah blah blah. Look at blah blah blah. Why can't the African be like this? But in this case, he seems to be making the argument. I know there's a level and degree of brutality seen in the African experience, not repeated elsewhere. It's interesting. It's interesting.
African colonialism was brutal. It was different. After independence, Nigeria and other African nations faced a significant skills gap, heavily relying on expatriates to fill senior technical, engineering, and medical roles, because local talent had not been sufficiently trained to take over. It's important to note.
I think it's also just important to note at this stage is that this period of time he's speaking out comes after a very effective and targeted brain drain in the African continent, particularly in the fields of manufacturing. There was not a single African nation that Europeans entered that didn't have really strong manufacturing capabilities in certain areas. Nigerians were exceptional leather makers. For instance, they were also exceptional cotton makers. The finest cotton in the world was found in West Africa, in the Guinea region of Africa. Okay, and they used to produce a very fine white cotton, very fine white linen that was exported globally. Many of the producers, many of the people who held the skill sets to produce these were targeted for the slave trade, and that's the part of the slave trade they don't tell you, was the deliberate brain drain. So actually there was a targeting of skilled knowledge holders, exceptional individuals, or companies, people who kind of like headed up certain manufacturing industries, etc., and getting them out of the country and leaving a kind of an unskilled, or at least a very kind of like a very kind of like low skilled majority, which is what you get in most nations. It's not like the case of everyone's going to be skilled in everything. And so a lot of homegrown industry that existed in the African continent for literally centuries, in some cases millennia, disappeared almost overnight as a result of that period of time that kind of existed between the transatlantic kind of slave trafficking or human trafficking and the colonial period. This period of time was a very, very well thought out strategic period of time in terms of how the European was interacting with Africa. We only have half of that tale being told, but I just kind of thought I'd jump in there. But let's carry on.
Europeans did not grant independence out of goodwill. They did so in response to crippling post-World War II economic crisis, rising African nationalist movement, and intense pressure from the USA and the USSR. Additionally, the immense financial and military burden of maintaining colonies forced powers like Britain and France to withdraw. The Portuguese were different. They never wanted to let go Angola, Mozambique, Guinea-Bissau, and the other colonies. When analyzing colonialism, particularly by solely comparing infrastructure left in the 60s to the current situation, it is important to consider the bigger picture first. For instance, the British established over 1,000 kilometers of rail network in Ghana before their departure. However, fewer than 300 kilometers of that network are operational today. A significant reason for this is that the local people left in charge of the infrastructure lacked the necessary training and education to manage, build, or maintain them. They were not adequately prepared for a transfer of power, unlike companies during a takeover or ownership transfer. Moreover, many Africans have never lived in advanced cities or experienced the kinds of infrastructure left to them by Europeans. Let's consider a hypothetical situation in which a group of Americans invades a tribe in the rainforest of Africa, South America, or Asia and construct 100 kilometers of railway and 100 bridges. Would those tribes be able to manage and maintain this infrastructure?
So over here, I think there's a definite oversimplification of kind of like the sophistication of the African nations that were invaded, and like I said, the targeted kind of like the targeting of skilled industry, the deliberate dismantling of the deliberate dismantling of skilled industry, and a targeted brain drain of certain individuals. So I think that contributes a lot to this discussion here, and it's important that we kind of like get that in context. Like the Guinea region of Africa wasn't it wasn't comparable. It's not analogous to hunter-gatherer tribes, for instance. These were very much functioning civilizations with very well-developed cities, and you can get readings about various different cities in Africa that were just incredibly advanced and spoken about. Kumasi's spoken about quite extensively in the run-up to the 100-Year War with the Kingdom of Ashanti. We obviously all know about the Great Kingdom of Benin. We know about Kano City. So, you know, there are various cities and strongholds that were incredibly well developed, more developed than many European cities at a point in time. Now, obviously, we're talking about a point in time spanning from, you know, really first contact of the, you know, spanning the, you know, 15th century and moving right through into, you know, the colonial era, which is the 19th century. So that's a long stretch. That's 400 years of kind of contact. Zulu Kingdom songs mentioned, was praised, and you could go on and on. The Kingdom of Congo was out of this world, colonnades and everything. Like literally, like the people would not believe what the Europeans encountered in Africa. So it is important to kind of like give that context, not to say that hunter-gatherers didn't have exposure. Yes, there were hunter-gatherer people in Africa, but they were definitely by and large the minority on the African continent. Okay, there were, because there's just not that many. The only ones who really are still engaged as like fully hunter were kind of spread out, quite sparse. You're talking about the Kwene, the San, the Batwa people. There's not like huge amounts of them. Obviously in East Africa you can get the Maasai, etc. Actually, they're kind of pastoralists. So yeah, I can't even say the Maasai. So yeah, the hunter gatherers, there's just not many of them, and so it's just it's not analogous. But still, I'm being honest. I'm appreciating the effort here, man. I'm really appreciating the effort here.
Without proper training, given the scarcity of universities and vocational or technical institutions during colonial rule, how can we expect Africans to maintain infrastructure that was foreign to them? Colonialism was fundamentally detrimental. However, it could have been positive if conducted differently. An ideal scenario would involve a country inviting a more advanced civilization or culture to assist them in a mutually beneficial agreement. In such a situation, resources would be shared and developed collaboratively, and knowledge would be transferred to enable the local population to build and manage.
It's a nice idea, but this is incredibly naive. No nation in the world is going to agree to such a thing. The only situation where something like that would be agreed to is in a situation when you have a situation like Africa, where the entire nation needs to be brought to speed. And let's say one of our nations gets ahead. We kind of did have this situation with Libya. I guess Libya would have been an example of this. So before they invaded Libya in the early 2010s, it was a very advanced nation, not just in Africa, but in terms of the world, in terms of the way its distribution of its economy, its rapidly growing infrastructure, its excellent irrigation systems, its housing, its healthcare. Everything in Libya was right up there. It may not have been literally the most picturesque landmass, but it's a huge landmass with a small population and just a few cities dotted about. So you have to understand with Libya, that's one of the reasons why that kind of overcoming the conundrum, which was the Sahara, which does eat up a large proportion of Libya, which is why that whole irrigation system that they came up with and the extraction of fresh water from beneath the Sahara to essentially feed the Libyan population, that was ingenious. So we're talking about a nation that infrastructurally and also in terms of its potential was like head and shoulders above most nations in the earth. And they were very much in the business, at least Gaddafi was very much in the business of pulling the rest of Africa up. So being a part, investing in the development, you know, he funded the founding of the African Union, and he used to essentially fund it and host it most of the time, get those African leaders around that table talking, had the satellite, the first kind of like African owned, we don't have African owned internet, I don't think anymore, but he had put a satellite into orbit for the African continent. So there are many things that were done. And in that situation, yes, that can happen. But other than that, this is just like a wishing on a star. Oh, you know, a more advanced nation comes in and doesn't want anything in return, but just agrees to partner and to develop that nation to bring it out of the thingy, and then it goes. That doesn't happen in today's world because we live in a capito democracy, and everything is based on capital. Why is one nation going to spend capital of its nation to develop another unless they got something coming back in return? And unfortunately, they've never seen the need to partner with the development of Africa, which is why Africa's best bet has always been to keep itself on a free and open market and to choose who it trades with. And this is the difficulty that Africa has always had, is the belligerence that our governments, our leaders, and our people face when they dare to turn their back on Europe. We're seeing it right now in the AES and the Sahel region, you know, where the leaders there have dared to turn their back on Europe, and the belligerence that's coming from France. France is fighting a proxy war against our Sahelian leaders through Ukraine and the, you know, and the Tuareg. You know, they are essentially fighting an insurrection against the Sahel. Yeah, that's what happens when you turn your back in Europe. Gaddafi dared to say, you know, I don't even know what Gaddafi said. He didn't really say anything. They just turned around to him one day and they were like, yeah, you're too progressive. You are out of here. That's how they play ball. So this is the realistic kind of like picture of Africa's relationship to Europe. It is one of massive, oppressive bully who at any moment might lose his cool and decide to erase you, kidnap you, completely destroy your nation through the IMF, you know, economically, or just invade you, drop bombs, and they can literally do whatever they can and do whatever they need to do to make sure that you stay as a friendly trading partner. So that's the historical relationship of between Africa and Europe. It's a huge conundrum to overcome. So this, as nice a thought as it is, I don't see how that practically plays out. But feel free to opine on that matter.
A successful nation. This is what I am championing for Africa today, and I intend to continue advocating for it. Unfortunately, this is not how African colonialism unfolded. It was characterized by a contempt for African people, with Europeans actively avoiding meaningful interactions and prepare them for independence. Colonialism was primarily designed not to improve or advance the lives of Africans, but to exploit them. This often overlooked truth underlines how some Europeans perpetuate the belief that colonialism was advantageous for Africa without taking the time to understand its nature truly. They seek prey.
And by the way, like I have to say this is very relevant for, this might sound unrelated, but even what's happening here with the whole, you know, Jason Arde situation, this is not in isolation. Right now, England is in a frenzy of white supremacy. I can't say any kinder than that. It's literally in a frenzy. I've obviously lived here all my life and I've never seen England like this, where they are seeking to rewrite the history books, where they're seeking to change colonialism to this kind of like net benefit, where they don't want to apologize for any wrongdoing that they've done historically, or even have it taught as being a wrongdoing. Everything's, oh well, it was okay, it was legal back then, why are you bringing it up now, blah, like always something to evade having that conversation that, hey, you know, maybe you owe something here, even if it's just an apology, what you did was wrong. It's kind of like no acceptance of that. They're even putting their crimes onto other groups. Like I keep talking about, you know, the Pakistanis at the moment are receiving some of the worst press. Pakistani males, it's kind of like a Pakistani male is still exponentially less likely to abuse a, you know, than a white male is. That's just a fact. It's a empirical fact, but they're not having it. Right now, this is the frenzy that they're in. So why is that related to what we're talking about? It's related because this is the environment, yeah, in which it happens. This kind of like, they want to be praised, they want you to say nothing negative about them, and they want to be able to say everything negative about you, how deficient you are, and they don't want to take any kind of responsibility or accountability for the evil things they've done historically and the evil things that they're currently doing. They don't want any responsibility. They don't want any accountability. And that's what you'll see. Those of you who are thinking, oh, now that Professor Arde has passed away, the British people are going to repent. No, they're not. Let me tell you something right now that I'm going to tell you right now as a British citizen, no, they're not. Not a single paper has got to post a retraction. Not a single piece of media is going to say this is, you know, a tragic event and we're sorry that we were involved in it. They're all going to start saying, well, you know, this is the consequences for this kind of behavior. It was destined to unravel. Deal with the guilt of the horrible things that he had done, and he had to. This is what they'll do. There will be no adjustment. There will be no accountability. There will be nothing. They'll just praise themselves. They'll actually say, we've done a good here. We've done a good in that we exposed, oh, DEI is to blame. The people right now who should be apologizing to his family are the University of Cambridge and the DEI people who put him there when he didn't belong to be. This is what the British are like. They are unrepentant barbarians. Unrepentant barbarians. And when I say stuff like this, they start coming in my comments calling me racist. I'm like, what's racist about what I'm saying? I'm just literally telling you your history. That's literally what I'm doing. I'm not making this about race. I'm just saying you are unrepentant barbarians. You do literally act like animals consistently. You consistently act like animals when given the opportunity to show some humanity. You know, what sets mankind apart from the animals? What sets us apart is the ability to show empathy in situations like this. It's the ability to reflect. It's the ability to want to learn a moral. The British are unteachable. They don't want to learn a moral. They're always in the right. They have no empathy and no sympathy, and yet they think they are the picture of, we are the most civilized. It's like, you are the opposite of civilized. Do you know what the word civilized means? You've never, I think, I think it was Dr. John Henrik Clark who said it. They said, who was the one that said, oh no, actually, it might have been Gandhi. It might have been Gandhi who said it. He's like, they were like, oh, what do you think of Western civilization? And Gandhi was like, what was his phrase? His quip was like, it sounds like a nice idea. I think that was it. Don't quote me, but I was like, I don't know, I've never seen it. It sounds like a nice idea. I'm like, yeah, that's what Western's like. It doesn't exist. You sit there talking about, oh, we're civilization, oh, we've spread civilized. You've never been civilized. If you come across an advanced kind of civilization, and then what you do is you focus on their weaponry, you focus on their military, and you use all of that knowledge to expand and to unalive everybody else in the world and to have a brutal regime, that's what you are. History is going to look back on the British Empire, and that includes the current British, the current Americans, because this is still just an expansion of the British Empire, current Australians. History is going to look back on you guys when you're no longer here, and that's going to happen, yeah, because nothing stays permanent. History is going to look back at you like it looks back at Genghis Khan. That's what it's going to look back at. When this world's being ruled by nothing, history is not going to look back at the time of Western Britain, you know, and be like, oh, that was the golden age of knowledge. They're not going to be looking back at you like it was like, you know, ancient Egypt or ancient Greece. No. History's going to look back at you like Genghis Khan, and it's going to go through your rulers and talk about how it's going to have Trump, yeah, invading Iran. One day he just went there and he went crazy and he bombed a school and 100 school kids, and none of the public, there was no public outcry. And this is that you are the Genghis Khan, like you're worse. Like I say Genghis Khan, but your history, the only reason it even has any kind of like people are in any way kind of like you know, gushing towards it and like, oh, British, oh, the British, this, it's because you control it. Yeah, you control the narrative. The moment you are out of control of the narrative and another dominant group gets to write about you, yeah, nuclear bomb dropping, you know, Western civilization, oh man, you have no legacy. You have no legacy. I'm telling you that right now. The only way that changes, obviously, is if you actually learn to be civilized. Maybe there's time in the latter stages, the latter end of your existence as the dominant group. Maybe there's time for you to adjust and actually start behaving in a civil manner. But I'm not convinced that's ever going to be the case.
Without taking the time to understand its nature truly. They seek praise for the infrastructure built by colonial powers, which was specifically designed to facilitate the extraction of mineral resources. The railway network was created to transport minerals to port cities rather than to connect African communities. Similarly, seaports were constructed to export extracted resources instead of benefiting local people. The Europeans never anticipated the day when they would leave Africa. They thought they've won a land that would permanently become an expansion of Europe and white civilization. Lord Lugard, Britain's Governor General of...
Shout out Wesker Willie. I think he's going to disagree with this with this illustration of Lord Lugard. But I'm going to keep it moving because we're not going there today, all right?
Nigeria from 1914 to 1919.
Someone has to ask the question, and they must have like 1914, 1919. Yeah, you know, you got, that's well into the era of the camera. Why are we dealing with an illustration just out of interest? That's kind of weird, isn't it? We should be dealing with a photo, no? Yeah, that's like, you know, we're well into the camera era now. Cameras are old by the early 20th century, you know.
Described the typical African in his 1926 book, The Due Mandate in British Tropical Africa, as a happy, thriftless, excitable person who lacked self-control and foresight. He claimed their minds were closer to the animal world than those of Europeans. Similarly, the French, under the Code de l'Indigène, or indigenous code, referred to Senegalese people as second-class subjects, viewing them as closer to subhuman than to the French.
Dudes, I don't know what's going on here. Who's confused I am, man? BCD's just out here spitting some historical bars, man. What's going on? I'm confused. I'm confused. I'm so confused and so conflicted. This dude's pulling out quotes from colonial books. Like he's doing the DD. Wow. This is something, man. I don't know what to do. Who's confused as I am right now, man? Yeah, Carl, man. I don't know. It has to be number one, man. I think no, not number one. It has to be number two. I don't think mum couldn't cause a switch like this. Okay, because with the mum theory, they're not really gonna care if you're pulling out the resources and you're really going to town with the research. Mum's not gonna really care that much, yeah. So you just got to do a couple things to kind of like please mum, yeah. I think it's only a girlfriend could make a change, like a potential wife, yeah. And if you think about it, she's got the dowry, yeah. If his this new girl that he's found is that if he's marrying up, yeah, and she's coming with the dowry, yeah, he just needs to cross this line, just convince her, hey, no, 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 I love my people, I love black people. Yeah, tell your dad I'm good. So he's come, he's gone, he's gone, he's done the deed. It has to be the girlfriend. Yeah, yeah. I feel like this has to be the girlfriend. Definitely has to be the fiance. There's something going on here. He's thinking about the engagement party. Yeah, it's not gonna go down while he's doing that. Yeah, it has to be, because this is crazy right now. This is crazy, man. Fabrice, I'm sorry, that's going up. That comment is definitely going up. Fabrice is like, we in trouble when she leaves him. Oh man, when she leaves him, he's gonna go super raccoon. He's gonna go super raccoon. It's gonna be the Badger City Diaries. He's gonna go super raccoon. He's gonna hit us with that real white supremacy. Oh, this is crazy, man. This is crazy. If I not go hard, you reckon it's the governor? Yeah, you reckon it's the governor? It could be the governor. Actually, yeah, it could be the governor. The governor's still very likely, because obviously when your life is that will galvanize. Well, have I frozen? Yeah, when your life's at risk, that will galvanize a lot of definite changed behavior. Oh man.
And regarded the Ivorians as primitive. The Portuguese, when they were in control of Angola, classified indigenous Angolas as second-class subject through the Estatuto dos Indigenas, enshrining that in the law of the land into the constitution. These Africans were bound to revolt, of course, because they weren't treated as equal. There is nothing good about this. Colonialism is a crime, or was a crime against humanity, and should not be glorified. The unintended consequences of colonialism do not justify its wrong. For example, if I fire a bullet that misses its target but accidentally hits and stops a man who was about to commit a crime, that does not make firing that bullet a good act.
I love, you have to love Bantu City Diaries analogies. They're so wild. They're so wild. If I shoot a bullet from a 400-meter distance using an assault rifle, and the bullet ricochets off a pipe and hits a man who is about to commit a burglary, then that man indeed is the victim of a crime, but not. So his analogies is just like. Oh man, let me not mock him. Let me not. I'm trying to keep Bantu City Diaries on the side, guys. Please make sure I behave myself here. We're not gonna mock him too much. He's in a journey of rediscovery. Yeah, we should be encouraging this. Okay, obviously I have a lot of pent up dislike for him, so that's where this is coming from. But we have to appreciate the effort here, man. He's trying.
Morality of the action lies in its intention, not merely the outcome. African societies failed because we lack the skills to develop and build successful economies. We don't understand the mathematics behind things. Having lived in tribal settings for thousands of years, we did not establish a robust defense system. This is
okay, so that's a massive false assumption to assume that Africans didn't understand the mathematics behind things as in lived in that. That's a massive false assumption. The education systems of many African cities were well up there, well before Europeans had any kind of level of secular education. I'm literally just producing a video right now about the kind of lasting impact, and not just of the Timbuktu, but just even using Timbuktu kind of as a signpost to what was clearly a wider network of educational institutions that were spread out throughout Africa, and with proof of scholars being spread into various different regions, the Ajami script being used in Timbuktu, translating into most of the Bambara, covering Senegal, Yoruba, Hausa, Tamashek, near enough all of the major regions of kind of Central Africa being covered by the languages that were being spoken and scholars coming from all of those various regions. So there's, yeah, I think the assumption that it was just kind of simplistic tribal settings, I think that's a broad assumption. Even, you know, obviously I think, you know, Wesker might even want to chime in here, but even things as that are seemingly simple, like architecture, you know, when if you're going to a place and you're seeing robust, strong buildings, yeah, that, you know, that have been created by the locals, there's a strong degree of, there's a strong probability that there's a understanding of physics and maths and various things in order to make, you know, these large structured buildings, you know, large thatched roof buildings. These are things that take, you know, understanding, they take calculation. So don't oversimplify what was the African experience is the kind of the important point that I'm making there.
That's why a country with fewer than 1 million people, like Portugal, was able to invade and colonize vast regions of Africa. Spain, the Dutch, and France similarly invaded and colonized much of the world. No argument and no amount of feelings can, in fact, invalidate that we were less advanced than the European. If we,
I think less military advance, and I think this is one of the things that needs to be pushed. Okay, the development and the manufacturing of the gun was huge, and it was global. It was not Africa being unique in here. These are nations that before the invention of the gun, the European would have only dreamt to have invaded and conquered. These are places that have had warrior codes for thousands of years. You know, I'm not just talking about Africa, I'm talking about right across Asia, because you know, they conquered the Orient as well. And all of these nations historically, you know, Middle East would have pulled out Dothraki and ransacked Europeans in hand-to-hand combat. And Africans, you don't even need to talk about the African warriors, you know, from Nubia to friggin' Central Africa, Congo, you know, to right across West Africa, the Guinea region. These are places that nobody was walking in, nobody was conquering, and also places that were incredibly rich. Had been mining gold for hundreds, if not thousands of years. So the idea of kind of like a poorer people coming, invading and defeating them in hand-to-hand combat is just, no, it's not going to happen. Not in a million years. These were people who had, in terms of the old, and I'm using the word old deliberately, in terms of the old weapons of warfare, Africa had mastered those. Africa had mastered the bow. It had mastered the sword. It had mastered the shield. It had mastered hand-to-hand combat strategies. The gun changed a lot. Okay, this is what's really important to note. The gun changed warfare, changed interactions, cannons. These things took everything to a completely different level, and it gave Europe the ability to conquer the world, which is what they did in very fast succession. So it's not a secret, but it's just important to know that point.
It been more advanced than the Europeans, then they would not have captured and subjected us to such humiliating treatment for centuries. If we were intelligent, despite our tribal differences, we should have been building cities, infrastructure, or developing something that would impress. Instead, we are still acting like complete failures, making a mockery of our countries and ourselves. While colonialism was indeed a crime against humanity, it is not the sole reason for our poverty, underdevelopment, and struggles.
See, and this now sounds more like the normal Bantu City Diaries, very condemning. But notice how we're so much more forgiving of this, because now it's a enterprise of honesty. And this is the thing, no one is ever going to have a problem, certainly not me, with black creators and researchers pointing out the flaws that have, you know, pointing out the flaws in native African diaspora black communities, as long as they give a balanced narrative and they say, you know, cause effect, not just say effect, 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 which is essentially what he normally does. So this is just a much more balanced overview and notice how, I don't know how you guys feel. I'm not offended now when he gets to his usual point of criticisms about Africans, which he's got to probably go into and expand into more. No, I'm not offended anymore because you've done your job as a communicator, as a researcher, and you've painted the fuller picture. I'm still confused, guys. I'm not gonna lie. I'm still confused. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why he's doing this. This could be just like the troll of the century, but let's carry on.
At Bantu City Diary, BCD, this channel, I challenge all topic. Nothing is off the table. Don't just come here so you can hear one side of the story or one side of the story that makes you feel better. That's not how you grow academically. That's not how the great white inventions that have changed the world came about. The white people were critical. They still are critical. But it would seem on BCD, I only attract the most racist Americans. American white are the most racist white people I've ever seen in my life. I
know. Oh man, I gotta bring that back. Look at him having a moment of self-realization. Like, you didn't, first of all, you didn't just attract them by chance. It wasn't like, oh, you're just putting out this content by chance and hey, I don't know what happened, I just got overrun with far-right racists who thought black people were all stupid. It's like, no, you fostered and built that community deliberately. He is coming for his community. This is wild. Let's let that play again.
Better. That's not how you grow academically. That's not how the great white inventions that have changed the world came about. The white people were critical. They still are critical. But it would seem on BCD, I only attract the most racist Americans. American white are the most racist white people I've ever seen in my life. I know America. Some of you don't know me, but I spent time in America. I know all corners of America, north, south, east, west, central, all of it. I've driven all. I know all of America. So I'm not a stranger to the USA. I know the USA. I have been coming to America for over 25 years now. So I know the USA. And I'm not a young person. Some of you may think I'm young. I'm not a young. I have an adult child. My daughter is an adult working in the city of London. So I am not a young person. What I'm saying is this channel is where I challenge every topic. So if you come today and see one content that pleases you,
you don't. No, that's the thing, is like, you definitely don't challenge every topic. You have created a very fostered space for anti-black, anti-African rhetoric that only ever criticizes blacks and Africans and never points the fingers at groups outside of black people and Africans, which we've explained ad nauseum. We don't need to talk about that over and over again. So it's interesting hearing him say he's even got adult children, because kind of like, well, what do they think of you? You know, this could be as simple as one of his kids stumbling across his channel and being like, Dad, why are you, he said his daughter's in London. Might even, no, Dad, why are you a sellout? What's good? Dad, what are you doing? Like, why are you, you're gonna get me beaten up at school, Dad. Like, why are you doing this madness? I was in school the other day, I said that you're a coon, Daddy. It could be as simple as a child. So we now got reason number 6 now. This reason list is going crazy. This is mad. This is absolutely mad. I know most of you, I want to get to the comments as well. Let's play out, because we got to get to the comments, man. See what's going on.
You know, wow, and you tap, subscribe and like. Then the next day you come, the next topic challenges what you thought you'd found. Then you unsubscribe or you say things that's not how you do stuff. You should be critical. You don't always have to agree with me. You have to disagree. Show it. Tell me. Now, what's the point of telling me that black is so ugly? Now look at the shape of their nose, or look at their lip. Then you.
Why do you think they said that, Mr. Bantu City Diaries? Why do they think black people are? Why do they feel? Not even I'm gonna say, I don't think they believe black people are ugly. They don't. The fact that they have to say it means they probably believe the opposite. But why do you think they feel so comfortable to come to your channel and to tell you that black people are ugly? Why do you think they save it? They get home and they're like, I can't wait to get them to Bantu City Diaries videos and tell them what kind of a dog I've had. Yeah, those nignogs making the words. I'll tell you what, you stupid, ugly blacks can go back on your banana boat to Africa. Like, why do you think they do that? Because your channel is a safe space for ignorance. It's literally a safe space for ignorance and stupidity. That's what you've fostered. There's no question mark here. It's kind of like maybe yeah, so it's a coming of age realization. Most of these guys don't have it. Offers to Tatum, he's like, he's happy. He's happy when he goes to his comments and he sees people denigrating blacks. It gives him ideas for his next video. But there's clearly a conflict going on here. Shout out to Drego. He says, EW, or I got here in time to hear great white intentions. Yeah. Yeah, this is we don't know what's going on here. We're still confused. He's kind of revealing a little bit now, which is giving us a bit of the motive, but not fully clear yet. It's still like behind the veil.
You're not here to have an intellectual exchange. I didn't create myself. Nobody created themselves. Dogs didn't create themselves. Snakes didn't create themselves. It's just how we are. I found myself in this world, and this is how I look in this world. But I'm willing to interact with everyone, and I treat everyone with respect. I don't care what skin color you have. One thing you should know, say whatever you want to say about Black African people, but the Black African people are the least racist people. We don't harbor.
That's he's surprising me again. I've never heard him make a compliment about blacks, even as he got to the end of that sentence. I thought he was going to say something derogatory to ruin it. I thought it was going to be like, Black Africans are the least racist monkey adjacent animal or something. Like, this is weird. I never expected a compliment out of this guy, and he said something very honest. This is very true. Black Africans are. Now he's going to relate it to us being less intelligent. That could be on the way. This is Bantu City Diaries after all. Let's see.
Racism in the sense that white people, especially in America, and the white South Africans, because the white Americans, white South Africans are the two most racist group I have ever encountered.
I agree. 100%. White Americans and white South Africans are the two most racist groups of white people. That is a actual fact, not one that I thought that he was capable of actually observing. Woo. This is a lot, man.
In my life, I don't care if you have subscribed to this channel for months or whatever, years, and you're white South African or white American. That won't stop me from telling you my experience, what I think. I could be wrong. I have been wrong many times, but I'll tell you based on my experience, I am not a dishonest person, and I will never be dishonest. So,
yeah, your back catalogue of about 40 videos, 50, 60, 100 says otherwise. You've been dishonest on multiple occasions. You know, dishonesty can come by omission sometimes, and you're deliberate. In fact, sometimes you just make stuff up as well. Who can remember some of Bantu City Diaries graphs? Who remembers his graphs? Like, he hasn't done any of that in this video. Have you noticed this video has been pure hard scholarship? Yeah, he's been getting references from books. This video has been, yeah, it's been like mid to top tier. Very good exposition. Normally he'd come out of his glass. I have done a graph, and my graph says that 9.5 out of 10 Black women have attempted to drown their baby on their first birthday. That's normally the kind of thing he comes up with. And he'll just have his Bantu City Diaries watermarked graph. You know what I mean? 7 out of 10 policemen say they smell a strange odor coming from the blacks that they arrest, proving that we have bad hygiene. That's normally kind of shizzle that he says. So coming out here and be like, oh, I'm always an honest person. Like, dude, no, you used to, let's be real. Yeah, I'm going to give you your kudos. This is a good video, but don't start making shit up, man. Seriously.
what I'm trying to say is come here with an open mind. If I say something that, offend you somehow, try, like, write it down in the comment section stuff, or send an email and I will reply. I take my time and engage. And I'm not someone just because you wrote something and I'll just go, well, but this, that, just to be all this euphemism. I don't do that. In the same manner that you wrote that sentence, just a sentence, that's how I respond. I reply with honesty, and I'm not going to give you that. Well, you know, you're so great. But no, no, no. If you're not, I say you're not. That's my personality. That's how I deal with people in real life. I am not a fake person. So if you want real educational content that challenges everything, that sort of bring to life.
See, I'd say this as well. There's a catharsis that comes with being authentic. And it's one thing that, without glossing myself, I know for a fact, I don't even have to have any doubt. I know I'm a very authentic person. Um, and the reason I'm authentic is a very selfish reason. I'm going to give you the reason why. The reason I'm authentic and I don't care about offending people, and I'll just say what the truth is at the moment in time. I don't care if it sounds controversial, is because I learned from a very young age that being inauthentic is impossible to maintain. I have multiple channels. I have now kind of like probably hundreds of videos across multiple channels. I can't maintain the fake image. I can't pretend I'm something here and then start a new dialogue. It's too confusing. It's too much. Okay. I'm probably slightly on the spectrum as well. So like it's too much. I'm not going to be able to maintain this, that, and the other side. I'm just authentic. I just keep it real. And the way he's talking right now, it sounds like he's having a crisis of authenticity. And now he wants to pretend he's authentic and he's always been authentic because he's realized, hey, it's just easier to be authentic. And that's kind of where he is right now. There's no point in being fake in this world. You may as well, like, you're not going to be any good to anybody. And I just realized, actually, you know, from a long time, from before I started this channel, I've always realized I'm just going to do what I believe, say what I believe at that moment in time, and be willing to put my hand up, say, hey, I was wrong to believe that, rather than pretend something else and try and pander to this audience here. And I ain't got time, I haven't got energy. No one's that important to make me twist myself into those kinds of shapes. So I feel like he's having a crisis of authenticity. He sounds like he's reaching his age. This could be this is now reason number 7. I think we're on reason number 7 is midlife crisis. Looking at his children who are grown, looking at him with disappointment in their eyes, like, Dad, did you? Someone said it in the comments. Did you really say all black women are ugly like that? Seriously? Like, do you think, Dad? Do you think I'm ugly? Imagine his daughter saying to that would be heartbreaking. Imagine doing a video like the one he done about black people being ugly, and then his children come finding that video, not knowing that existed, but then finding the video and then being like, Dad, do you really think this? Like, so you think that Chinese women are better looking than me? Dad? Like, what? That will be heartbreaking. That's like daggers, and you won't survive from that. So this could be that. This could be that. This could be that.
The things that we only discuss behind closed doors. This is the place for you. Let's make it happen. Let's grow. This channel is not a place where we hate anyone. There's no content that I ever produce here that would be fueled by hate. It's just not going to happen because it's not part of me. I don't hate black people. I don't hate white people.
See, what he's doing now is he's projecting what he wants to be, because he's done nothing but feed hate. Literally, he has one of the most hateful channels on YouTube that I could think of. I can't think of many more hateful channels. His channel is full of hate. His comments feeds are full of hate. His content is full of hate. He might not literally say, I hate black people, but he says it in all of the roundabout ways, basically. So this is got to create, now he's projecting the image that he wants to be. No, I'm open and I love everybody and I respect everyone. I'm just open-minded and I'm this and that. That's a projection. Please view me this way. And he's not doing the wrong thing here. A revision, hey, you're welcome, and I invite you and I encourage you to pivot your content and to not be ignorant. The only thing is, he is going to take a massive hit in popularity. He is going to see, if he does another video like this, I'm not sure what his subscriber count has gone down by, but I'm sure it's gone down a bit in this video. But if he does a couple of these videos in a row, he's going to start taking a huge financial hit, because I don't think he has any subscribers. And when I say any, I don't think he has any subscribers who want to hear this. The kind of people who will enjoy a video like this are my subscribers. We don't share subscribers. Yeah, me and Bantu City Diaries do not share subscribers. So he's got to start struggling, and then we'll see what he's really made of. Let's go to the comments, man. Let's hit the comments and see what's going on, man. Let's see what is going on. I'm zooming right in. Okay, we gotta get some. We gotta get some. So the Brits don't give a flying F about their own working class, never mind colonized people. Okay, so that was surprisingly open-minded. Let's see the next one. Colonialism was about creating empires. It was not a humanitarian enterprise. The question is, how did colonialism affect Africa in absolute terms? Was it generally beneficial for Africa, particularly sub-Saharan Africans, or was it just brought them, or is it just brought them regress? Okay, that wasn't even worth reading. Or it just brought them. No, that's not a good sentence. Let's move on. Most of the world colonized, including Japan, woke, but they woke. I guess none of these people in his comments can write a proper sentence, but they woke up from sleep and developed their country with not nonsense of blame. Oh my God, I'm not even going to read that one. Let's see if we can get a single coherent comment. Blooming heck. I always feel so soothed when I hear him speaking. Okay, this must be definitely one of his old glazes. Let's see what he says here. It's rare nowadays to hear a person speak so intelligently and eloquently about any topic. I like that he's calm and unemotional too, and is unafraid to address controversial topics. Well, that's all right. That's encouraging. Only 5 upvotes. Let's see the next one. This one's from a Quabna. Yeah, Quabna. This is our Ghanaian friend here. Let's see what he says. Had Europeans never involved themselves with Africa, we would still have found an excuse to explain away why we are lagging behind. Enough of the blame game. So this is Bantu City Diaries. Let's get to work and build a better Africa and stop pointing fingers at others. Blaming others has never solved a single problem. So now you've got a problem with history. You're literally on basically a history channel, but now it criticizes Europeans. You've got a problem with it. And I did mention yesterday, guys, remember, this is not a race thing. This is definitely, I believe wholeheartedly that an African on the continent wrote this. I don't believe this is a bot account, this kind of thing that I'm used to hearing. This is easily one of the most intellectually honest channels on YouTube. You're an interested man, someone wrote. Let's see what his reply to that was. He says, thank you for the kind words. Reasonable. The reason I like your channel is because I think your message is universal. You speak for Africa, but the essence of what you say is for everyone. Wow. And that's what I do. So this is, hey, it's not going down super badly. Can you make a video about African Union? Is this going to succeed? My brother, I agree with everything you say. 2 things can be true without a definite opposition. So this isn't looking too bad, guys. They haven't destroyed him. RJ McKenzie said they are glazing him. Well, RJ, I know you came late. This is a good video. I think we've all agreed that this was a good video. We are confused about it. Okay, we're confused about it, but he seems to have been able to pull what seems to be the proverbial wool over the eyes of his audience. They seem to be, well, some of them seem to be succumbing to it. Bro dishes it out to everyone equally. 49 upvotes. That's a popular one. Okay. Good take, my brother. Straight scholar. Much love. Keep it up. I've shared this with my friends. Damn. The pivot's doing well. Well, maybe, look, I guess the good thing we can take from this is if there's enough encouraging comments and they haven't completely trashed him, maybe he stays on this trajectory. Maybe he stays on this trajectory. Let's see. Polish guy here. I don't agree with what you mentioned about Poland. Just like many African countries, Poland was exploited as a source of raw materials and cheap labor, and its wealth was taken by neighboring empires. Despite this, we managed to do somewhat better after regaining our independence. A brief overview. Okay, I'm not reading a brief overview of Polish history. I don't care that much. Sorry. Let's move on. That comment was too long. Let's see what Omega 2. This guy looks like a MAGA. So let's see what the MAGA guy with this MAGA photo looks like. The infrastructure problem is not solely due to a lack of training from colonial powers. There are countless stories of modern charity organizations going to Africa, building something, and then teaching the locals how to repair it and maintain it. They provide spare parts and tools, and they stay long enough to ensure the locals do, in fact, understand how to do the maintenance. After they leave, the parts and tools get sold, and the infrastructure gets torn apart and sold for scrap. Now, whereas this may have happened, okay, there might be a case study or even a number of case studies. Notice he won't give you one. He'll just give you this completely hypothetical story without any roots. But it's only got 4 upvotes. So look, guys, I can't be dishonest here. He's not getting cooked in the comments by his audience like I thought he would. This is surprising. Although I don't completely agree with everything you said in the video, but I agree 90%. I'm even of the belief that Africans should stop blaming everything on the white man, colonialism, and slave trade, and take responsibility for themselves and for their failures. But I find it troublesome when I see some black people who glorify colonialism and act as if colonialism had good intentions by doing that. It's bizarre for me. I used to be a fan of Frank Zani due to his critical thinking, but he seems to understand African problem, but some of his claims on colonialism is a little bit more troublesome. And by the way, someone asked me earlier, would I debate? I would debate Frank Zani in a heartbeat, in a literal heartbeat. If I could, I've emailed his team, couldn't make it happen. I'm still open to it. Love to have a discussion with him. I hate the kind of concept of a debate, but I'd love to have a discussion with him. And cook him, basically. So a lot of people commenting here as kind of like African subscribers, but this is a positive comment stream. I'm not gonna lie, okay? I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna try and paint something. This is a positive comment stream. So, hey, look, man, it's gone down well. It's gone down well. Look, it's gone down well here. We've reacted to it real time. No one really knows what's going on. I think the kids thing could have been a thing. I think there might have been a reason he mentioned that. The adult kids thing could have been the turning point. That could have been it. Who knows? But either which way, we're here. And he seems to have turned a corner. Don't get too excited. I'm not offering him a subscribe yet. I want to see 2 more videos in this same proving a change of trajectory, a change of direction, and proving that he's not just going to be the vile person he is. And then I'll even consider passing him a subscribe. At this stage, I'd say the jury's out, but that in isolation, I have to give him props. That was a good video. Let me know what you think. Give me a rating since we're here. Before we all like kick off the channel, I want everybody to rate his content. This colonialism in Africa was not the same as colonialism around the world. I want to rate it out of 10. Just chuck it in there. Let's just get it. In fact, actually, I might do a poll.
In fact, I have more respect for white people, actually. So this is not a place. And
1 second. Let me do a poll. Let me do a poll. Start a poll. Here we go. Okay. Whoops. What did you think of the video? Let's go for 2 out of 10. We'll do 5 stars. So 1 out of 5 to 5 out of 5, yeah? 3, 4. Okay, I only get 4 options. So let's 1, 2, 3, or 4. 4 out of 4 being the highest, 1 out of 4 being the lowest, and poll is live. Get your answers in there. 1 second. Chuck your answers in, guys. Let's get them, and we'll have a quick review of the poll and see what we think afterwards. Fabrice, you don't know who Bantu City Diaries is? That's strange. Ranking one of these Africans who speak like that man about problems are usually very corrupt, highly narcissists and abusers in most cases. Yeah, very, very peculiar. Just a few oversimplifications, but that's fine. All right. Votes still coming in. I'm going to give about another minute or so on the votes, and then I'm going to end the poll and see where we're all standing with those. It'll be interesting to see what you guys think. Chuck your votes in. Let me know. What did you think of the video? Did the poll appear for everyone? Can everyone see it? If you have a problem viewing the poll in your chat, let me know. Just write a comment. Woo, I'm sweating. Yeah, he definitely has personal issues to deal with. It's positive ratings, man. Positive ratings. So as it stands, I think you guys can see it. It's no one gave it a 1, so that's high. But we got 36% to 55% 3 and 9% 4. So it's been a highly rated video. So look, BCD, you're on the King Mono show, and my audience who hate you like this video. So whatever you're doing, hey, let's see more of it, man. Let's see more of it. Well, who am I to discourage someone who seems to be pivoting in the right direction? I prefer to, even if there's a kind of a darker motive behind it, I prefer to see him producing content like this than doing what he was doing before, which was very unsettling for me. And I don't like having to do response videos. The fact that to be clear, like I've done a few response videos to BCD and I know he's seen them. I don't like doing response videos like that. In fact, it's probably rates at the bottom of the kind of content I like to make, doing a response video to like a BCD. But I actually feel a duty to do that when someone's misinformation I feel is so damaging and is going to be used by people against us. It's like I don't even have a choice. I'm like, I have to respond to this. I got to put something out there. So it's like the same thing when the IQ argument was being raised, this and I was like, I have to put something out there to equip the community and to make people, you know, because one thing I can feel certain of myself, oh, this is nonsense, but I constantly think about things like, well, what if my son stumbled along this? What if my daughter stumbled along this? What if my nieces and my nephews stumbled along this video? It's going to make them feel like crap. So I have to be able to put something out there that they can pick up and then go, oh yeah, that's what I always thought. I knew that was the case, and argue that. So that's the reason why. So I'd much prefer to not have to do that kind of content because he's not making it anymore. That's a much better world for me. So I don't know what the motive is. I don't know what kind of girlfriend he's with at the moment. I don't know if it's one of his kids called him out. I don't know if his mom got on the phone. I don't know if Governor Ade Bagbo called him and said, I'm going to mortally wound you if you don't change your channel. I don't know what it is, but I'm happy to see it, guys. So definitely. Shout out to everybody in the chat, RJ, Kalugu. Shout out to Dregger for the donation. It was much, much appreciated. So even a couple of donations. Did I read out your second one? I didn't. Thank you very much. We were talking about earlier. So study size 30 unemployed people. Yeah, when he did his IQ study, which it wasn't even a study, his IQ video ever. But you know, we've cooked him a few times and we definitely got him eyes on the channel. It's good to see. But I want to shout out everybody. Shout out to the King's Guard. You know who you are, 4DV, Macy, Fabrice, everybody who's in the chat, who's been contributing. It's much, 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 much appreciated. And I'm thinking we'll wrap it up at this stage. Have a fantastic day. I'm probably going to do a video tomorrow, a live stream tomorrow, regarding going back onto the Jason R. Day topic. I've got a few more things that I want to cover. Oh, one really important thing. I've started a petition. Let me just share this actually with you guys. Forgot to share this with you. So let me do that. That's actually quite important. One moment. Give me a sec. This is actually really important. Probably one of the most important things to share today. So don't leave the live stream. Okay, let me share my screen. So, excellent. I've started a petition. We've got 63 signatures, which is really good. I literally started it this morning. And the petition is called Seek Justice for Professor Jason Arde. I would like to see charges, if possible. Basically, I want the CPS, which is the Crown Prosecution Service in the UK, to investigate bringing charges against Nathan Koffness, who is the right-wing eugenicist lecturer who started this. I believe actually there's several charges that could potentially be brought against him, because I think he did harass him. It was harassment, and he didn't stop harassing him until he managed to get the media to harass him. He ignored multiple opportunities to stop the harassment when he saw the toll it was having on his mental health, and he basically kept harassing him until he passed away. That was deliberate, and in my view, I think charges can be brought against him. So I've written that, well, you know, I did this with ChatGPT, so I'm not gonna lie, but I've written a lot of this myself. But I'm gonna go to the kind of like applicable charges. Okay. So harassment protection from Harassment Act 1997. And if you read through it, you'll note that all of these are met. Serious harassment or stalking is another charge that could be brought. False or malicious communications. This one's really important because he continued to pursue the plagiarism accusations and even report the plagiarism accusations were actually factual even after institutions had ruled against his accusation. Multiple institutions and even academic journals had ruled against it and said this isn't plagiarism. We understand where the errors lie, but this is not a case of plagiarism. He continued to pick it up and try to push it through again. So that's, and the important thing is he presented to the media as though his plagiarism claims were fact, and they weren't. So that's malicious communications or false communications. He has obviously nefarious motive, and then one of the bigger charges is unlawful act of manslaughter. I think all of these can be brought against him. Have a read through before you pass your judgment. But what I would like to do, I'm going to share this. Let me just copy this link. I'm going to share this with you guys. And what I want to happen is if we can get to 1,000 signatures, which I think we can do, guys, if we all like engage with this petition, and we can start pushing it over that line. Let's really start pushing, getting pressure on Nathan Kofnas. Forget I know people are saying, oh, we should be concentrating on Cambridge University or the media, this, that, and the other. When you spread your blanket too thin, so to speak, you're not going to catch anybody, you know? People will just slip right through. If you spread your net too thin, what we need to do is focus on the one individual who not only started this, but maintained it. Nathan Kofnas was the engine behind this entire hate campaign. And I think he's done enough interviews and put himself out there enough for charges to be brought against him. And obviously, we're not going to do that privately. This is the UK. Those charges will be brought forward by the CPS. But if we can at least get to the point where they're investigating him, we'll hopefully get to a point where, because right now he's feeling sitting down, feeling very gleeful about himself, very happy with himself, very satisfied that he's managed to harass this young black man to the point of unaliving himself. He feels great about himself. The UK media feel great about himself. No one feels repentant. But I think if we can get to a stage where he's brought before a court of law and he's had to answer for this harassment, they're going to think twice about about individuals then doing the same thing, because you're going to get vigilante individuals trying to repeat what he's doing again. We're not going to have that. We need to put a stop to this right now. So sign the petition, share the petition, get the petition out there as much as possible, guys. Let's make sure that we are, as a community, operating with a single accord and do our best to hold people to account. I'll place a link to the petition in the comments of this video once that part goes live. But please do click on this link. If there's one more act I'm going to ask you to do before I close the live, click on the link that I've just posted in the chat that takes you to the change.org petition. Sign up, share it, get it out to as many people as possible. Let's show these people that we're not just going to take this lying down. Okay, we're gonna want some kind of retribution for this. Yeah. So yeah, I think I'll leave it at that, guys. And yeah, have a fantastic day, evening, wherever you are, and I'll see you on the next live. Peace.